If World War III broke out tomorrow, much of your kitchen food could become useless. That's why keeping 12 no-cook foods at home, ready to eat without heat, is essential. In an emergency, many realize most of their stock requires cooking. Without electricity, gas, or a stove, foods that can be eaten immediately become crucial. Today's list features common supermarket items that, when stored properly, can give you the energy to get through tough times. Watch out for item number 4. It's often overlooked but can be one of the most effective energy boosters in a crisis. 12. Tuna or salmon in pouches. When people prepare for emergencies, their first instinct is usually to stockpile as many calories as they can. However, there's another element that deserves just as much attention: protein. When your body is under constant strain, whether from stress, lack of sleep, limited food, or continuous movement, it may start breaking down muscle tissue for energy. Because of that, getting enough protein during these periods becomes essential for maintaining strength and keeping your body functioning steadily. This is exactly why tuna or salmon in pouches frequently shows up on emergency food lists. A single small pouch of fish typically contains around 16 to 20 grams of protein, which is roughly comparable to what you'd get from 2 or even 3 eggs. Considering that it requires no cooking or preparation, that makes it a surprisingly powerful and convenient source of nutrition. Salmon, in particular, offers an added benefit. It's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which support both heart health and brain function. When you're exhausted or under pressure, nutrients like these can help you stay alert and think more clearly. What really sets this food apart, though, is how easy it is to use. There's no need for utensils, no heating required, and no time spent cooking. You simply tear it open and eat it right away. In situations where everything feels unstable, like during power outages, severe storms, or when you need to evacuate quickly, having instant access to food like this can make a huge difference. There's also a small but important detail that often gets overlooked. Pouches are generally more practical than cans. In everyday life, opening a can is easy because a can opener is always within reach in the kitchen. But in an emergency, when you're rushing out the door or don't have access to your usual tools, a sealed can can quickly become a problem. Many people who have gone through extended outages realize they had plenty of food stored, but no way to open it. Modern fish pouches solve that issue. Most come with a simple tear strip, allowing you to open them in seconds without any tools. They're also lighter, easier to pack into a bag or store in tight spaces, and they don't leave behind sharp edges after opening. Because of all these advantages, people who prepare for emergencies often keep several of these pouches stocked and ready to go. That said, while fish pouches cover your protein needs quite well, they don't solve everything. In a long-lasting crisis, your body also needs quick, easily accessible energy, especially when there's no time to cook. And that's where the next item on this list becomes incredibly valuable: a food many people even refer to as emergency fuel for the body. So what about you? What kinds of foods does your family usually keep on hand for emergencies? 11. Peanut butter. When you look at most survival food lists, there's one item that almost always ranks near the very top, not because it's rare or expensive, but because it works incredibly well in emergency situations. That item is peanut butter. Just 2 tablespoons can deliver close to 200 calories, and a typical jar often holds over 2,000 calories in total, roughly matching the daily energy needs of an average adult. Because of that, many people who focus on emergency preparedness make sure to keep several jars stored at home. But the real value of peanut butter isn't just in its calorie density. It also contains a solid mix of fats, protein, and some carbohydrates, which helps your body maintain a steady and lasting source of energy over time. In everyday life, this might not seem like a big deal. But when the power goes out, the stove stops working, or cooking simply isn't an option, foods that require preparation quickly become inconvenient or unusable. Peanut butter stands out because it avoids all of those problems. It doesn't need cooking, water, or any kind of setup. You just open the jar and it's ready to eat. There's also a psychological side to consider, something people often overlook. In high-stress situations like extended outages, natural disasters, or periods of instability, your body can release adrenaline, which often suppresses your appetite. When that happens, many people lose interest in foods that are dry, tough, or require effort to eat. Peanut butter, however, is soft, easy to consume, and doesn't have an overpowering smell. Even if you're not particularly hungry, taking a few spoonfuls can still give your body enough fuel to keep going. Another advantage is its versatility. You can eat it straight from the jar, spread it on crackers, or pair it with something like tortillas to create a quick and simple meal. That's why many preparedness experts suggest keeping at least 3 to 4 jars on hand. They're compact, easy to store, and don't require any special conditions, yet they can become a dependable energy source when everything around you starts to feel uncertain. If you had to choose just one food to take with you in an emergency, what would it be? 10. Crackers. A lot of people think of crackers as nothing more than a basic snack, something you grab without much thought. But in a tough situation, this simple food can actually become surprisingly valuable. One of the biggest advantages of crackers is how they help turn separate items into something that feels like a complete meal. For example, imagine you only have a pouch of tuna. Sure, you can eat it straight out of the package, but it tends to feel more like a quick, temporary fix than a proper meal. Once you add a few crackers underneath, though, everything changes. Suddenly, it feels more structured, more like real food. It might seem like a small detail, but during long and stressful periods, having something that feels familiar can make a big difference in keeping your morale steady. That's one of the main reasons crackers show up so often on emergency food lists. They act as a kind of foundation, making it easier to combine different foods into something more satisfying. Tuna with crackers is a classic example, but you can just as easily pair them with peanut butter or even scoop up canned beans with a few crunchy pieces. Simple combinations like these can make eating feel more normal, instead of just consuming items one by one. Beyond the mental comfort, crackers also offer a practical benefit. Because they're small and require you to eat piece by piece, you naturally slow down compared to eating straight from a can or pouch. This can help you manage portions more carefully, which is especially important when you need to stretch your food supply over several days. They're also incredibly easy to store. Crackers don't take up much room, and a single box can be paired with multiple other foods to create several quick meals without any real effort. For all these reasons, people who prepare for emergencies usually keep a few boxes on hand, right alongside staples like canned fish, peanut butter, or beans. Still, while crackers help bring structure to a meal, there's another food that offers something very different, an unusually long shelf life, often lasting for years with little to no spoilage. What's interesting is that many people already have it sitting at home, yet rarely consider it an essential part of their emergency supplies. What food do you think people tend to overlook, even though it can be incredibly useful during a crisis? 9. Canned fruit. After relying on heavier, calorie-dense foods like peanut butter, tuna, and crackers, your body will often start craving something lighter and easier to handle. That's exactly where canned fruit proves its value in an emergency food supply. During extended periods of stress, it's common for people to lose their normal appetite. You might feel drained, your throat may get dry, and chewing through dry foods can become uncomfortable over time. Canned fruit offers a completely different kind of experience. It's soft, juicy, and mildly sweet, making it much easier to eat, even when you don't really feel hungry. There's also a small detail that often gets ignored: the liquid inside the can. Whether it's syrup or natural fruit juice, it provides an extra source of hydration. In situations where clean water is limited, some people even choose to drink that liquid instead of discarding it. On top of that, canned fruit contains natural sugars, which can give you a quick boost of energy. While it doesn't provide the long-lasting fuel you'd get from fats or proteins, it can still help you feel more awake and responsive when you're tired or under pressure. It also delivers some essential nutrients, including vitamin C, especially in fruits like peaches, pineapple, and oranges. But one of the most overlooked benefits of canned fruit is how it affects your mindset. In difficult moments, having something sweet and refreshing can lift your mood more than you might expect. Sometimes, just a few bites of fruit can make it feel like you're eating a normal meal again, rather than simply trying to get through the day. That's why many people who prepare for emergencies keep several cans of fruit stocked in their pantry. It's not necessarily the most critical item, but it may be one of the easiest foods to eat when you're exhausted and low on energy. So what would you pick? If you could only store one type of canned fruit, would you go with peaches, pineapple, or a fruit cocktail? Drop your choice in the comments. 8. Nuts. In challenging situations, there isn't always time to sit down and eat a full meal. Sometimes you just need something quick, easy to carry, and packed with enough energy to keep you going. That's exactly where nuts come in. Almonds, peanuts, and cashews might seem like everyday snacks, but they're actually one of the most energy-dense foods you can have on hand. Even a small handful contains a strong mix of healthy fats, protein, and essential minerals. Despite their size, they deliver a surprisingly high number of calories and can help sustain your energy for hours. One of the reasons nuts are so valuable in emergencies is their versatility. You can eat them right away, portion them out easily, or keep some in your pocket while you're on the move. They don't require any preparation, tools, or effort, and they take up very little space in a bag or storage area. That's why people who plan ahead for emergencies often keep several packs of dry nuts at home. Interestingly, if you look through discussions about survival foods, you'll notice a common pattern in people's experiences. One highly liked comment once mentioned, "Whenever I go on a long trip, the one thing I always carry isn't canned food. It's a bag of almonds. It's small and lightweight, but it can get you through an entire exhausting afternoon." Observations like this highlight an important point. Sometimes the simplest foods turn out to be the most reliable when life becomes unpredictable. They may not seem special, but they're always ready when your body needs a quick boost of energy. Still, there's another item on this list that surprises people even more. Not only does it provide energy, but it can also last for an incredibly long time without spoiling. And chances are, you already have it somewhere in your kitchen. You just might not think of it as an emergency essential. After all, while the human body can go weeks without food, it can only last about 3 days without water. 7. Protein bars. In high-stress situations or times when you're constantly on the move, preparing a proper meal isn't always realistic. That's when something as simple as a protein bar can turn into a highly practical energy source. Most protein bars are specifically made to provide quick fuel. Typically, each one contains somewhere between 180 and 220 calories, along with about 8 to 12 grams of protein. While those numbers might not seem very impressive at first glance, they're often enough to keep your body going when fatigue or hunger starts to set in. What's even more important, though, is maintaining stable energy levels. During a crisis, your body is usually dealing with multiple stress factors at once: lack of sleep, mental pressure, and sometimes constant physical movement. When your blood sugar drops too low, it's not just your strength that takes a hit. Your ability to think clearly and make sound decisions can also start to slip. Having a small, energy-dense snack on hand can help you stay alert and focused during those critical moments. Another major benefit of protein bars is how convenient they are. They come individually packaged, are easy to carry, and fit almost anywhere, whether it's in a backpack, your car, or a kitchen shelf. When you need one, there's nothing to figure out. Just open it and eat. No cooking, no tools, and no waiting. That's why many people choose to keep a few protein bars in their emergency kits or even stored in their vehicles. It's not because they replace a full meal, but because they offer a fast and reliable way to restore energy when your body starts to slow down. Still, there's another item coming up on this list that often catches people off guard. It's something most assume always needs to be cooked, but in reality, it can still be eaten even when you don't have access to a stove. 6. Instant oats. When most people think of oats, they picture a warm bowl of oatmeal to start the day. But what often goes unnoticed is that instant oats can still be eaten even without access to a stove. All you really need is a bit of cold water and some patience. After sitting for about 15 to 20 minutes, the oats gradually soften and become easy to eat. This approach is known as cold soaking, a method frequently used by hikers and long-distance campers who don't always have the option to cook. What makes oats especially valuable in tough situations is the kind of energy they provide. Unlike sugary foods that cause a rapid spike followed by a crash, oats are rich in complex carbohydrates and fiber. This combination allows your body to absorb energy more gradually, helping you stay full and maintain steady energy for a longer time. Another strength of oats is how adaptable they are. You can eat them plain, or mix them with other foods from this list, like nuts, peanut butter, or even canned fruit, to create a simple yet surprisingly well-rounded meal. Even a modest portion can offer consistent fuel when your body needs it most. That's why many people who prepare for emergencies choose to store instant oats in their pantry. It may not seem like anything special, but with just a little water and a bit of waiting, it can turn into a dependable meal when options are limited. Still, there's another item ahead on this list that's even more unexpected. It's a food known for its incredibly long shelf life, and in some cases, just a single spoonful can provide a surprisingly high amount of energy. 5. Jerky. Jerky shows up on almost every emergency food list, and for good reason. It's lightweight yet packed with concentrated nutrition, making it perfect for situations where mobility and efficiency matter. The way jerky is made is simple but effective. Most of the moisture is removed from fresh meat. With the water gone, the weight drops dramatically, but essential nutrients, especially protein, remain intact. This means even a small handful can provide enough fuel to keep your body energized and functioning for hours. Another big advantage is portability. Jerky doesn't need refrigeration, requires no preparation, and is incredibly easy to carry. A small bag tucked into a backpack becomes a ready source of protein anytime it's needed. That's why hikers, long-distance travelers, and anyone preparing for emergencies often include jerky in their food supply. There is one thing to keep in mind, though. Jerky tends to be salty and chewy, which can make eating it on its own less comfortable for some people. Many prefer to pair it with other foods, like crackers, grains, or fruit, to create a more balanced and enjoyable meal. Hydration is also key when eating high-salt foods. Drinking enough water helps maintain bodily balance and prevents the dry or fatigued feeling that can come during extended activity. Thanks to its simplicity, long shelf life, and convenience, jerky has earned a spot in countless emergency food kits. It may not be fancy, but on days when cooking isn't possible or when you're on the move, a small portion of jerky can quickly become one of your most valuable sources of protein. 4. Tortillas. When most people think about stored foods, bread usually comes to mind first. But tortillas actually offer some unique advantages that make them especially practical. They tend to last longer than regular bread and are more versatile in a variety of situations. Thin, soft, and easy to store, tortillas take up very little space and are far less likely to crumble during transport. Because of this, they're often considered an ideal base for quick and convenient meals. What really makes tortillas stand out is how well they pair with other foods. Simply add a little tuna, beans, or peanut butter, roll it up, and you instantly have a compact, handheld meal. These simple wraps make eating much easier, especially when you don't have a table, utensils, or time for a formal meal. Tortillas also help keep different ingredients together. Instead of eating everything separately, you can combine multiple items into a single, manageable portion. It may seem like a small detail, but during hectic or stressful times, having a meal that is neat, easy to handle, and portable can make a noticeable difference. That's why many people preparing emergency food kits include a few packs of tortillas. They may not be the star of the meal, but they provide structure, allowing you to combine other foods into something practical and satisfying. 3. Canned soup. In challenging situations, your body often needs more than just solid food. It also needs fluids to stay balanced. That's one reason many people include a few cans of soup in their emergency food stash. Unlike most other foods on this list, canned soup offers both solids and broth in a single package. This combination comes with two key benefits. It delivers nutrients while also providing extra liquid. When water is scarce or normal, living conditions are disrupted. Foods that already contain moisture become surprisingly valuable. Soup also has a soft, easy-to-eat texture. After long hours of work, travel, or stress, dry foods can feel uncomfortable to chew or swallow. A meal with a more liquid consistency is often gentler on the stomach and easier for the body to digest. Canned soup is extremely versatile as well. You can eat it straight from the can as a quick, satisfying meal, or pair it with other foods, like tortillas or crackers, to make something more filling. This practicality is one reason soup is a staple in many households that prepare for unexpected situations. It's not fancy, but even a small can provide a warm, fairly balanced meal when circumstances aren't ideal. Do you have any other emergency foods in your pantry that we haven't mentioned yet? 2. Canned beans. Canned beans are a regular feature on most emergency food lists, and for good reason. They offer well-balanced nutrition in a compact, ready-to-eat form. Beans provide three key nutrients at once: protein, carbohydrates, and fiber. Protein helps maintain muscle, carbohydrates supply fuel, and fiber supports steady digestive function. Together, they give the body energy that lasts for hours. Another major benefit is convenience. Canned beans are already fully cooked, so you can eat them straight from the can without any complicated preparation. In situations where cooking is difficult or impossible, this makes them especially valuable. Beans are also versatile. You can eat them on their own, pair them with tortillas or crackers, or even mix them with a pouch of tuna to create a simple yet nutritious meal. When choosing beans for long-term storage, many people opt for cans with pull-tab lids. This small feature allows the can to be opened quickly without any extra tools, a practical detail when normal kitchen equipment isn't available. Thanks to their combination of convenience and balanced nutrition, canned beans have become a staple in emergency food supplies. They may seem basic, but even a single can form the foundation of a surprisingly complete meal when it's needed most. If you had to pick 3 no-cook foods to keep at home, which ones would you choose? Share your selections in the comments. 1. Ready-to-eat meals. In certain situations, the priority isn't collecting individual ingredients. It's having a complete meal that's ready to go. That's why packaged ready-to-eat meals often appear on emergency food lists. These meals are fully prepared in advance and sealed in durable packaging. When you need them, all you have to do is open the package and eat. No cooking, no assembly, no extra effort. This convenience becomes invaluable when time is limited and conditions are chaotic. Another key benefit is nutrition. Many packaged meals are designed to provide a balanced mix of protein, carbohydrates, and fats in a single serving. This combination delivers a fairly complete source of energy, helping your body keep functioning when you're tired or trying to recover strength. Ready-to-eat meals are also practical for storage and transport. They are compact, tightly sealed, and easy to organize in a backpack, vehicle, or pantry shelf. For anyone who wants a reliable, quick meal during uncertain situations, they make a smart addition to a food supply. Of course, you don't have to rely solely on packaged meals. But when resources, time, or cooking options are limited, having one complete meal ready to go can make life much simpler. Looking back at the full list of emergency foods, one thing is clear. Most of these items aren't rare or expensive. They are familiar foods you can find in almost any supermarket. Yet, when stored correctly and combined thoughtfully, these everyday items can become a dependable reserve that helps you get through unpredictable periods. One crucial rule: food keeps your body going, but water ultimately determines how long you can survive. A common guideline is to store at least 1 gallon per person per day, and if possible, enough for 2 weeks to significantly increase your preparedness. In a real crisis, the calmest person isn't always the bravest. They're often the one who prepared ahead. When power goes out, store shelves empty, or cooking becomes difficult, your body still needs energy to keep moving. In these moments, simple foods that can be eaten immediately become incredibly valuable. When the systems we rely on pause or fail, the simplest solutions are often the most effective. That's why, when building a food supply, it's important not to focus only on foods that require a stove. Make sure you also have options that can be eaten without cooking. In an unexpected situation, your kitchen stove might suddenly be nothing more than a cold piece of metal. The simple foods you prepare today could be exactly what helps your family get through difficult days. By the way, I'm curious. Which food from this list do you think is the most essential to always have at home? Share your answer in the comments.